So my last video was pretty deep, pretty heavy, and although it generated a lot of really good discussion, I wanted to take today and switch it up and talk about how I started YouTube. Kind of go back into detail about my journey, where I started, and honestly just kind of tell you guys the story of how this whole thing came to be. Because I don't think a lot of you know how this came to be. Most of you are here through the hardcore series, but there was a lot leading up to it before that ever happened. So before we actually get into me uploading videos, I think we should first talk about like growing up and how it was watching YouTube while growing up. I was probably in middle school, maybe early high school, when I first found gaming YouTube in general. And I always thought that Minecraft YouTube was like the most special. For some reason, it just always resonated with me. It felt like art as opposed to just purely entertainment. The first Minecraft series that I ever watched was called X's Adventures in Minecraft. And I could probably make a whole video about how much that series resonated with me, but I'll just say this. I thought it was the coolest thing ever at the time. The only problem was that none of my friends watched Minecraft YouTube. None of my friends really watched YouTube at the time that I knew of. And as a middle schooler, I hate to say it, but most middle schoolers, myself included, really care a lot about what people think at that time. So immediately I kind of thought it wasn't cool to like YouTube, to like Minecraft YouTube specifically. Now, I did have the courage to show this to one of my friends. I showed this Minecraft series to a buddy, and he actually liked it. He got into it. With a little bit of convincing, he watched it, and he became just as obsessed with it as I was. For about a week. For about 1 week, he liked it. And then he just never showed any interest in playing Minecraft, really, again, that I'm aware of. And it was kind of at this point that I realized I like Minecraft at least a little bit more than most people. At least people in my circle will say that. Fast forward to high school and college, I was basically very busy. And at this point, I wasn't really even playing Minecraft. I was, however, still watching a ton of YouTube, probably like Call of Duty YouTube at the time. I don't really remember. The point is, as I was getting older, I was still very into YouTube in general and thought it was super cool. And by now, I was starting to have thoughts that being a YouTuber, being a full-time YouTuber and doing this for a job would be really cool. However, it seemed completely unobtainable. It did not seem like it was in the realm of possibilities for me. I know this sounds crazy, but like in my mind at the time, a YouTuber felt like a completely different kind of person than me. Like that was just not me. And also, I had roommates all throughout college, so any interest that I might have had towards making YouTube videos was probably shut down because the thought of me recording something in my room and then somebody hearing it and me having to explain it to them was like the most terrifying thing at the time. Now let's fast forward to after college. So for context, I am an engineer. I went to school for mechanical engineering. So after college, I was working at a big car company at a plant that was actually making trucks. That was what I was. I was working there and we were working all of the time. I think I was probably working 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week. And ironically, I was probably a bit less busy than I was in college because college was just like absolutely crazy busy all of the time. However, I quickly realized that the big boy job was nowhere near as fun as college. So even though I was probably working a little bit less, I was like having nowhere near as fun and life was just nowhere near as satisfying. Basically, adulting sucks. We all know that. And as usual, I was spending all of my free time basically watching YouTube / playing video games. And for a while, I just did that. I would go to work and I would come home and then I would basically play Call of Duty or Rocket League until like 2 a.m. Mind you, I worked like a late shift, so I wasn't staying up that late relatively, but either way, I was spending all of my time playing video games. And then one day I decided that I would try and make better use of this time outside of work, which led me to making my first video in February of 2021. Now, mind you, I have not played Minecraft at this point in probably 3 to 5 years. So you're probably wondering, why would my first video be a Minecraft video? Well, like I said, I always thought that Minecraft videos were the most unique. They were always my favorite videos, and they always resonated with me the most. So even though I hadn't played in so long, it was honestly a no-brainer to make Minecraft videos. And thus, Minecraft with Brock was born. That was the name of the series, Minecraft with Brock. At the time, I thought this was literally the most groundbreaking idea ever. I don't know why I thought that. It was very bad. The series as a whole was not good. In episode 1, I remember explicitly having a Tasmanian devil skin. I don't even know how I got my hands on this skin. I remember doing the F5 mode to turn around and I saw the skin and then just laughed about it and kept recording. It was so cringy. Now I say the series was atrociously bad, and note that I tend to be pretty hard on myself. The reality is that it was probably just as bad as most people's first Minecraft videos. As I mentioned, this was in February of 2020. Now we all know what happened starting March of 2020. The pandemic occurred. So basically immediately after uploading my first video or two, I was off of work during this point were still very bad. But I was waking up every day and spending basically all my time chasing this little dream of mine because it was a very unique opportunity to. I was slowly getting better at the very basic things like editing, idea generation, storytelling, just kind of getting better at Minecraft in general. It was around this time when I designed my own iron farm based on a zombie spawner, which honestly, I'm still very proud of that video. That was a super cool idea. Little side note, I was also desperate for views at this point, so I was like sharing my videos on these subreddits for new YouTubers, where basically other people will watch your video and give you feedback, or in some cases, they'll watch your video as long as you watch their video. It's not really a great thing. It's good for feedback, however, if you want to get traction and actual views, do not do that. I repeat, do not do that. Anyways though, it was on these subreddits where I actually met a different guy who was kind of in the Minecraft YouTube scene, and he invited me to an SMP. I thought this was the coolest thing ever at the time. I was like, holy cow, like I'm gonna be on an SMP? Like I was equating this to Hermitcraft in my brain. It was okay. It was fine. I remember though, after everybody on the SMP, all like 10 or 12 members subscribed to my channel, I finally hit 50 YouTube subs. By now, I had been making videos for 6 months, so 6 months to hit 50 subscribers. Honestly, that's pretty par for the course for a lot of YouTube channels. And now that I finally had 50 subs, I was like, okay, this is finally worthy of sharing with somebody. I hadn't told anybody about this at this point. So I told the girl that I was dating at the time about my YouTube channel. I said, hey, look, here's this thing. I really like it. I've been doing it for the last 6 months. I finally hit 50 subscribers. It's really cool. And she basically laughed about it. She told me it was really dumb, and honestly, I don't think I realized how much that hurt at the time, but that was the only person I had told, as I mentioned. So I thought, well, if she has this reaction, that's probably the reaction that everybody else is gonna have as well to this. Now, not long after that, we broke up and I stopped uploading completely. This was September of 2020. Also, by now, the pandemic was kind of starting to slow down a little bit, so I was back to work anyways. I was back to work in full swing. The days of, acting like a full-time Minecraft YouTuber were done. That was in the past. I was just a working man doing my working man big boy job. Honestly, I was kind of distancing myself from the whole YouTube thing in general. I wasn't even watching much content. I was just going through the motions again. And I kept this up from September all the way through to the new year. And then something happened. It was probably late January, early February of 2021 at this point, and my grandpa got sick. And he had been sick for a while, but it quickly progressed and he ended up passing away in, I want to say February or early March of 2021. And the whole process made me reflect a lot. And I just kind of realized how short life is. Now, at this point, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life still, but I did know one thing, and I knew it was not what I was currently doing for a living. So I did the craziest thing I had ever done at that point. On February 28th, 2021, I walked into work and I quit. You should know that this was not like me at all. I was not the kind of guy to just like walk in and quit your job. I was way more the type just to go through the motions and kind of deal with it, even though I didn't like it. But looking back, it kind of feels like a defining moment for me. Anyways, with all of my free time yet again, I slowly started naturally dabbling back into YouTube again. I think I actually started streaming instead because for the first time in my life, I had internet good enough to do so. So that was a whole new journey that I was kind of experiencing. It was during this time that I stumbled onto Filza and Looney, and I basically became obsessed with Minecraft hardcore. The entire Minecraft hardcore trend was very early on at this point, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I don't even think I knew that Minecraft hardcore was a thing up until that point. And particularly, I found Looney's Season 1 world so inspiring, and I think the reason why is that it just felt so relatable. I don't know why, but it really resonated with me. Like, for the first time, becoming a YouTuber actually felt obtainable. So yeah, believe it or not, Looney is basically the entire reason why I uploaded my first hardcore video, which is pretty crazy. Even crazier when you factor in that I actually just met Looney in real life, which is unbelievable to think about how that whole thing came full circle. But that's the story for a different video. So with that said, I soon after, I think it was March 1st, 2021, uploaded my first ever hardcore video, and honestly, I just never looked back. Now, it wasn't for 6 months later until I made a single dime from any of my videos, and I was definitely delivering a lot of food on DoorDash to be able to pay my bills, but somehow I stuck with it, and here we are.